Hey guys, I've been running the Aries fender flares now for over a month, and I really love these things. So stick around and we're going to talk more about them. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Arthur and you're watching Dirt Hammers Off-Road Media. Today in this video, I'm going to do a product review of the Aries aluminum fender flares. Okay, so as I've mentioned, I've been using the Aries fender flares now for a little over a month. That's how long I've had them installed. And I've gotten tons of compliments on them. I think they work really well. They perform well. And you know, it's a great product. You see a lot of Jeeps with fender flares on them. There's a lot of options out there for fender flares. I couldn't have asked for a better product with the Aries fender flares. The fit was 100%. All the pre-drilled holes to mount the fender flares perfectly lined up with all the factory holes that are in the Jeep's fender well or fender liner. So they've been really good. Gotten tons of compliments on them, and let's take a closer look and talk a little bit more about them. So let's walk around the Jeep, let you get a look at the fender flares. And I apologize, the Jeep's dirty. Been out last weekend. We were out wheeling and riding and exploring, and of course today doing this video we're doing the same thing. There's a quick look at them. Okay, some of you guys that might be new to Jeeps might be asking, why do I want to run a aftermarket fender flare? The Jeep comes with fender flares. Well, a couple things. The Jeep comes, yes, they do come with factory fender flares that are plastic. I think they look really good, you know, the plastic stock fender flares on most Jeeps. But, you know, problem with them is as they age, they like to fade. Sometimes they're subject to damage, things of that nature. But the biggest thing is they fade and they get very tired looking. Now the ones that were on my Jeep were taken pretty well care of. So the factory ones looked okay. They had a good color to them, but they were starting to already show some of their age. It is a 2015 model Jeep, so a lot of people change those plastic ones out. One, they want something fender flare like the Aries fender flares, give you a more robust and rugged look for the Jeep. But also the biggest thing is they increase your tire clearance in the fender well. You know, the factory fenders, they kind of are angled downward and they're very thick and bulky, and they kind of help close off the fender well a little bit. So going with an aftermarket fender flare, couple things. Now you have a product that's more robust and durable. You're not going to have all that fading or cracking, and now you have the ability to run different size tires. And when you're off-road and the front axle is articulating up and down, now you have more clearance inside the fender wells for tires. And in some cases the extra clearance may allow some guys, depending on how their Jeep's set up, to run a larger tire. So that's some of the reasons people, you know, switch over to a fender flare. One, it's durable, they look good, they increase your tire clearance, and they're a huge benefit for off-road riding. You can see here that the fender well, I have a ton of tire clearance, and that's, like I mentioned a while ago, that's another benefit of having these. And the other benefit is just a more robust, rugged look. But the Aries, these are aluminum. Of course, I have the polished aluminum. They're available in a black textured kind of powder coat finish. But they have a nice aluminum tubing, and then they're finished off with a nice aluminum panel across the top. But all the mounting holes, like I mentioned, all lined up perfectly. You will be required to trim your plastic fender liner if you keep it. I'll be going to an aftermarket fender liner soon enough, but as you can see here again, look how much tire clearance you have. And again, nice aluminum tubing, gives it a nice rigid, great welds inside the unit. I know it's hard to see because of the dirt and mud, but these are actually still wide enough. That's another thing I like about these fender flares, is they're actually still wide enough to help keep some of the mud and debris from flying up on the Jeep. As you can see how wide these are. So that's another feature that I like about the Aries fender flares, is they are wide enough to help keep some of the mud from flying up on the body of the Jeep. Okay guys, when I was talking about tire clearance, you know, that tire is not fully stuffed up in there, but it is pretty good. But this is what I'm talking about, the increased tire clearance when you run fender flares, is the fact that you can usually gain anywhere from probably 2 to 3 inches in a lot of cases, depending on what flares you're using. But it gives you that extra clearance, so when the axle is articulating up and down when you're off-road, you're not scrubbing. You can run a little bit larger tire. Okay guys, so that's my review of the Aries fender flares. I'm going to put some information down in the description area. I'm going to give you the price, the Aries website. The Aries fender flares can be purchased as a complete set, front and back, or you can buy individually if you want just the front or the back. But the Aries fender flares are 100% aluminum. They're never going to rust or corrode on you. They're lightweight. Since I do have the polished ones, that does require a little bit more maintenance, but I knew that going into it. I kind of like the look of the polished aluminum. But I'm 100% satisfied with them. I love these things. They turn heads everywhere I go, and they just look great. They look awesome on the Jeep, give it a nice rugged look. If I had to change one little thing, and that would be maybe to add a little gasket in between the body and the fender flare itself. But other than that, everything else comes in the kit or in the box that you're going to need to install them. Instructions, they got videos online on how to install these, but it's super easy. And hey guys, you need to check them out. Give your Jeep that rugged, tough off-road look and get some Aries fender flares. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur, and you're watching Dirt Hammers Off-Road Media.